Hello, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Christine. I love to read dark and disturbing things, and today we're going to be talking about my favorite summer horror books. So let's check it out. The weather is starting to get a lot warmer here. I got my summerween shirt in, so I figured it was a perfect time to start talking about some of the books that I have read that are what I would consider summer horror, and let you know about them just in case you haven't heard about them. So this is not going to be a complete list of every summer horror book out there. This is more of the books that I have read in the past few years. I kind of went down my list, and anything that gave me summer vibes, I wrote down so that we can talk about them. I also have a handful of books that I own that I want to get to this summer, and I will talk about those as well. So let's jump right in. I'm going to start with a book that you have probably already read or at least heard about in these type of videos, but I have to mention it, and it is The Troop by Nick Cutter. I read this a few years ago, and this is a book about kind of like a Boy Scout type troop in Canada that goes on an island for like a camping Boy Scout thing. I don't even remember if this actually takes place in the summer, but to me, camping equals summer, and so here we are. Very soon after the boys arrive to this island, things kind of go off the rails, and there is just a lot of body horror in it. I remember the term delightfully disgusting in my review of this, which still holds true. I love me some body horror, and this one did not disappoint. So if you're not into gross things, you might not be into this, but I love anything that has to do with the human body and it being disgusting. So I was here for it. Next up is a book I have talked about before, and I believe it has its own dedicated video. So I will link that down below if that's true. I'm pretty sure it is though. And that is Ronald Kelly's Fear. I honestly don't remember if this takes place in summer, but I'm pretty sure either way, it takes place in the South where it's really hot. So this is a coming of age story, and to me, coming of age stories always remind me of summer. I guess because like that is the time that you're free as a child. You can run around. You don't have to be going to school. And for my generation anyway, that grew up, like we were just kind of pushed out the door when it was summertime, and it was like, don't come back until the streetlights come on. So you could be out doing whatever. It was pretty chaotic times. But yeah. So you could be getting into whatever, and you kind of grow up a lot during that time. This one is about a boy named Jeb. Yeah, he's 10 years old, and he's got a hard life. He's lost his mom, his grandma's sick, his dad has some brain injury from being in the military, and there is something going around in their town that is terrorizing people, and people are going missing. And Jeb takes it upon himself to go to a scary county to find out how he can defeat this creature and save his town and his friends. This is a book that I just ended up loving unexpectedly. I hadn't heard a lot about it. I just had picked it up and read it and fell in love. I love me a coming of age story. I love when our main character is around that age, 10 to 14 or somewhere around there. I just feel like their minds are so open, and things seem so much scarier because they don't have control over anything. And yeah, this was just this one touched my cold black heart, and I absolutely recommend it. Speaking of coming of age stories in the summer, I would be wrong to not mention this book, even though everybody knows about it, and that is Stephen King's It. This one starts off in the summertime. It's like the last day of school for these kids, and it is, okay, this is too heavy to hold. And yeah, you probably know about it because of Pennywise the Clown, but it is so much more than that to me. This is about a group of loser kids that end up being friends, and it's about summertime in an age before cell phones and video games and all of that. So this group of kids are basically just running around all summer on their bikes, getting into trouble, finding ways to occupy their days, going swimming in the lake, that kind of thing. They got to deal with some bullies. They got to deal with some deranged clown-like creature, but they do it together as a group. So for me, the love of this really does come from this just group of misfit kids that find a home within each other. So the first half is them as kids, and the second half is them as adults having to face what they felt dealt with when they were children. You know the story, right? But I think it is the perfect summer read. The next one is a book I read last year, and I did talk about it then, but I want to bring it up because I don't hear too much about it. And it is also another coming of age summer story with, I guess, with some spooky elements. It's not, I wouldn't consider it really a horror story. I do think that a lot of times coming of age automatically falls into the horror section. And there are some supernatural elements to this, but that isn't the main focus. And that is Wasps in the Ice Cream by Tim McGregor. This takes place in summer of 1987, and we have Mark, who I believe is a teenager. Yeah, he's able to drive, or he's just learning to drive. So he's around 16-ish, and he lives in a very small town. He's got his group of friends, and everybody makes fun of the 3 Pharaoh sisters. Is that their name? Yeah, Pharaoh sisters that live in town. They all think they're weird, that they're witches, and one day his friends kind of play a prank on one of them, and our main character is like, thinks about it once he gets home. He's like, I think we went too far, and he starts to feel really guilty about it. So he reaches out to apologize to these girls and ends up befriending one of the sisters. They end up kind of having this secret friendship / relationship, and of course, being his age, he feels the need to keep that a secret from his friends because they're not going to understand. They're just going to make fun of him. They might kick him out of the friend group, and it's just kind of dealing with the drama of all of that, like balancing these friendships. And there is some kind of supernatural thing going on with our sisters, which is why everyone thinks they're so weird. I don't know, I just really enjoyed this one, and I don't hear enough people talk about it. I ended up giving it 4 stars, so you might want to give that one a shot too. Another quick little fun slasher book that you can find on Kindle Unlimited is Slasher Witch in the Water Park by Penny Moons. This one's short. It is 168 pages, and it is all fun. It is about a bog witch who gets awoken and notices that over her land where she's lived in the swamp for her whole life, a water park has been built while she was sleeping. And she just decides to go in and have a little fun. Of course, she's getting kicked out because she doesn't look like everybody else. She might look a little disheveled, and she didn't pay to get in. So she's not too happy about this, but she sneaks back in and basically gets drunk on fro-fros, which is what she calls like all the frozen lemonade drinks, and just causes chaos. And it is a fun time. If you ever thought about water slides and all of like the water fountain features coming to life and terrorizing people, then this one's for you. And yet another one I read just last summer was The Cotton Candy Massacre by Christopher Robertson. And I absolutely love this book. To me, carnival, clowns, all of that is summer. This takes place in summer of '89, and there is a carnival that long ago shut down due to someone being killed in a cotton candy machine, which was quite excellent. It is now in the future, and they're deciding to reopen this park because that always goes well. And all the people that have heard the urban legends of why this place was shut down are excited to go and see for themselves. Only this place is crawling with clowns that are trying to kill people. Those evil, evil clowns. This one had some really graphic scenes, I thought. So this is definitely a extreme horror novel or splatterpunk. I think it is all done in such a silly way that it's easy to enjoy. It's not just being torturous, but I really enjoyed it. There is a part 2 out that I want to read this summer, hopefully next month. The only thing about this one I didn't love is that it does read a little bit long, but if you can get past that, I hear that the second one, the author took note and kind of cut down a little bit because it probably did not need to be 355 pages, but it was still a really fun ride. One I read a few years ago was Fantastic Land by Mike Brockovin. I actually ended up listening to this, and I would highly recommend the audio if you can get your hands on it. It has full cast, and it was just done really, really well. So if you can, I don't know if it's still on Everand, but if it is, I would give that a shot. This one is just under 300 pages, and this takes place in a Disney-like theme park. It is obviously meant to be that. It takes place in Florida. It is the theme park where fun is guaranteed. So it's not the happiest place on earth. It's just guaranteed fun. There is a huge hurricane coming in and the park has to close down. They're trying to get everybody out. Everyone is supposed to leave the area in general, like the whole town. And the owners of Fantastic Land have like these almost like dorm rooms in these bunkers on their property in case something like this happens. So their cast members or their employees can sign up to earn a premium and stay on the property and just make sure that if anything needs to happen while all this craziness is going on, that they are there to help. So for a lot of these younger people working in this park, they're like, whoa, I get to get paid extra, like double or triple or something like that to do no work? Sign me up. Of course, things go horribly wrong, and the park has to stay shut for quite some time, and they are stuck in the park. The flooding is so bad that help cannot get to them for quite a few weeks. So this turns into a very scary situation very quickly, and quickly employees start to divide into teams, and it is kind of like a battle royale in a Disney park, which I always love when you take something that is really horrible and combine it with something that's supposed to be fun or cute or family friendly. It is just my favorite. And the way that this one is actually told is after the fact. So it is all taking place in interviews with the people, interviews with the survivors. So as they're kind of all retelling their story, you're finding out who survived and who didn't. And you're also finding out how each person kind of tells their story just a little bit different to make themselves look a little better. I thought it was super fun. I was really engaged. I think it took me a little while to get into it, to get into that style of understanding that it was all taking place in interviews. But once I got into it, I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. And then a book I read quite a few years ago, I think before I even knew that extreme horror was a thing, was Paradise Club by Tim Meyer. This is just a 300-page slasher that takes place on an island. So we have a group of people who are told that they won this all expenses covered, all-inclusive resort on this private island, and they're supposed to be there to like test it out to see how people will enjoy this island if they opened it up to the public. And the only thing that they are told is that they have to follow the rule of no phones, no computers, no Wi-Fi, nothing. So they want them to be present and not on their devices. Most people think this is a small price to pay for a free vacation, and they happily give up their devices, only to find that this trip is not all it seems like it is. It is basically, they are prey to be running around for another group of people who paid to be on this island so that they can hunt humans. So to them, it's just this big game of being able to hunt humans, and yeah, don't get attached to anybody out. That's all I can say. I do remember there are some people dressed as clowns in this. If you like a little clown slaughter, that's in there. And the ending is so freaking bizarre and out there that you will never guess what you just won't guess it. It is so freaking weird. I gave this 3 star, but it still lives in my brain because it was just so out there, and it's just there to be a fun time. Perfect summer read. Another one that I read quite a while ago, many years ago, but I still remember the vibes of this one, not all the details, but I do remember how I felt about it and that I enjoyed it, and that is Joyland by Stephen King. I think I originally picked this up because I couldn't believe there was such a short Stephen King book. This one is under 300 pages. It is part of his hard case crime books. I don't know that this, I guess it kind of fits in there. It's kind of a weird thing because I don't think it's really horror. I don't really remember it being full of crime, but it takes place in a theme park called Joyland, and our main character is a college student who is working there. And I remember being kind of like a coming of age. I guess he's already technically an adult, but it's just like, I think he's still coming of age. He's learning a life lesson in this about love and loss. And I do think that there were some crime and horror elements to it, but those were kind of off to the side. Can I tell you what this book is about completely? No. I do remember really enjoying it, and I couldn't believe how touched I was by it when I read it. The next one, I don't know if it actually takes place in summer, but I read it in summer, and so my brain associates it with summer. Come to think of it, it takes place in a school, so probably not, but it is called Confessions by Kanai Minato. I'm sorry if I'm saying that name wrong. This is a translated book. It is 240 pages long, and I could not put this book down. It starts out with a teacher basically telling their students, today's my last day. One of you little assholes in this room killed my child, and I know who you are, and I'm gonna get ya. And everyone's looking around like, who could it be? She's like, I know there's two of you are responsible. And I don't want to spoil the surprise, but basically tells them that she has kind of poisoned them in some sort of way. And I will have to say that you will need to suspend your belief as to what she says she did. And I can't remember if it's just that the children believe that that could happen, or that the story truly believes that that could happen. But she basically tells them that she's going to get revenge on them. And I can't remember if it is every chapter or every section of the book is told from a different person's point of view. I think there's like 4 people that we hear from, and we kind of find out what happens, and we find out the craziness that goes on in the minds of these children, freaking out, wondering how she is going to get them. I just could not put it down. I read this thing so quickly. In fact, I don't own a copy, and I should probably buy one so I could reread it. But I thought it's a perfect summer read for that reason. Last but not least is a book I just read and just reviewed last month, and that is Stephen Graham Jones' I Was a Teenage Slasher. This takes place in the summertime, and it is just a super fun story. It's an origin story of how someone became a slasher. Almost like someone became a superhero, like it just happened to them. He didn't want it to happen. It was just a thing that happened to him, and we are along on this journey while he is slashing and figuring things out. To me, Stephen Graham Jones can do no wrong when it comes to slashers, and in fact, his My Heart is a Chainsaw takes place on, like, the finale takes place on the 4th of July, so that is also a great one if you want to read something in the summertime and get into Stephen Graham Jones. All right, for a few books that I want to get to this summer that I own, the first one is, I actually own this on my e-reader, and it is Carney by Regina St. Clair. She is actually on YouTube as well. I'm going to link her channel down below. She has a pretty cool channel, so you should check that out. I'm going into this knowing nothing but this amazing cover. A murderous clown in a carnival, in an amusement park. That's all I need to know. This one is 270 pages, and it is available on Kindle Unlimited right now. Next in my pile is Tastes Like Candy by Ivy Tholen. I did read an Ivy Tholen book a few months ago. Oh, I read Mallrats, that's right. And I really quite enjoyed this. I've heard this one is even better. I'm going in completely blind. All I know is it's got this cotton candy, which must mean it's an amusement park or a carnival, right? So I want to get to this one this summer. This one, I have no idea if it has anything to do with summer, but it gives me summer vibes. And this is actually the bind up of 3 books. The Jack Quaid, they call it the Whole Bloody Series, Escape from Everywhere. I'm trying to remember what the original was called. Okay, so the first one is called Escape from Happydale. The second one is Escape from Bastardtown. And the third one is Escape from Slaughter Beach. Maybe it's because that third one, Escape from Slaughter Beach, makes me think of summer. I don't know. I think it's just a fun slasher. All I know is that it says on the back is Stephen King meets Quentin Tarantino. It's kind of all I needed to know. I don't know if this is going to be great. I think it's going to be like kind of like a B horror movie. And that is perfect for me for summer. So this is the bind up of all three. I hope to at least get to one of these this summer because this one's been sitting on my shelf since last summer. The next one I've already started. I'm currently reading this. This is Kill River by Cameron Rubik. I haven't gotten very far. I'm only on chapter 3, but it takes place in a summer camp. And what else do you need to know? Summer camp, skeletons, the 80s. Oh, the teenagers that stumble into a mysterious water park that is empty. So it's an abandoned water park that they don't belong. These next couple I did already talk about in my TBR because I do plan on getting to them. And that is, next one is Joe R. Lansdale's The Drive-In. The Drive-In is a summer thing. This one's really short and I actually have part 2 as well. I have a Jack Ketchum Off Season, which I believe is about cannibalism on an island in the summer. Dan Simmons, Summer of Night, another coming of age story in the summertime. And last but not least, I actually just picked this up because I want to read all of David Sodergren's books now. I've read The Heart and I read Maggie's Grave and I freaking love both of them. This one is called The Forgotten Island. I'm going in blind, but it says that it takes place on a deserted island and a fight for survival. I just love how, I love him. End of story, end of story. So hopefully there were some new ones in there that you haven't heard before, or maybe reinforced, or maybe reminded you that you thought about them in the past and you haven't gotten to them. I would love to hear what your favorite summer horror read is, whether it's a coming of age, a slasher, what have you. Give me more books to put on my list. All right, it has finally gotten nice outside today, so I am going to end this video, go outside, hang out with my pup, and read some Kill River. If you are interested in Summerween, I'm sure you're already following Gabby's channel, but I will link her channel down below if you would like to participate in this week-long summer readathon coming up. I think it's in July this year. I just love the artwork that her sister makes, and I always get the stickers or a shirt or what have you. So there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a great summer and stay spooky.